Most of the cleanup is done. I do have a couple more things that I don't like the way this looks, so I'm going to delete this. This is the street center line from 83. I don't actually think I need that because I've got the streets in there. So I'm going to hit select and fill in stroke. I'm going to delete those out. The other thing is these rail lines. I don't like the way these look. They're hanging out the edge here. So I'm using my direct selection tool, dragging and dropping around them. I'm just going to delete those. I'm going to hit delete one time. If I hit delete twice, it'll delete the entire line. I also want these to look a little bit more like rail lines. So I'm move this out to the edge. This one, I'm just going to kind of align this. And let me turn off the rest of these layers just so that we're kind of focused in here on the rail line piece of it. Do the same at this end. Delete those. Delete this guy. Doesn't need to be. And dragging that in. I'm just deleting these little points as we go. Trying these all together now. Okay, so that looks pretty good. This is a little goofy. I'm going to delete this one. Using the pen tool, I just hit pen. See how it popped up with the minus sign? Delete. And then I'm going to use my direct selection tool again. Okay, and delete just that last point. Now, I want these to be solid, so select. I can do that a couple ways. Just turn off everything else. Turn off my labels layer. I clean that one up. Over here in my stroke panel. I don't want dashes. I also want these to be a little bit more legible, so I'm going to use a darker color. And then I want them to read as rail lines. I'm actually going to make them into a group. Copy and paste Command G. That'll put them into a group for me. So now, like, if I want to move them around, they'll just come together as a group. I don't want them to move, but I was just showing that that's the ease of the group. So, and then I make them a little thinner, so that's good. And then I'm going to copy Command C and paste in place. But this time I want them to have the appearance of a rail. So I'm going to do like 5 point, and then I'm going to make them dashed. But I want them to be really thin. So I'm going to make them at 0.75. So now you see I've got something that looks a little bit more like a rail. And then I'm going to do them at 5, points apart. And then I don't know, maybe they don't need to be quite so big. That looks a little bit better to me. And then I want them to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to change the opacity to 60. So now that's really starting to look more like a rail line. And I'm going to actually, I'm going to unlock everything here. I am ready to scale up. Before I do that though, I want all of this on a single layer. So I'm going to Command X. I've already got my layer selected. Command paste in place, Command Shift V, and that's going to be my legend layer. Now, I realized that I accidentally exported this at the wrong scale. And that is definitely not the end of the world. I want this, I can see, so my rulers up top, you can toggle those on and off. Command R gives you that, and right click will give you the different feet in inches or millimeters, pixels, whatever you need. I like to work in inches because that's paper size. So on my artboards layer, And if you're missing this tool palette here, you can go up here to Essentials Classic. That's always a good place to start if you're missing something. Artboard options. I want this to be tabloid size, which is 11 by 17. And it's 11 wide, or pardon me, 17 wide by 11 high. And I can change the orientation here. This will give me the option between portrait or landscape. I want to stay in landscape here. I'm gonna hit OK. This, I want to move this stuff out of the way because I don't want it to get, you know, in the way of this. But I have this export, I accidentally exported to 1 unit equals 2543 units. Now, I think the scale that I want for this is going to be 1 inch equals 100 feet. So 100 feet times 12 inches, that's 1200. So 1 unit equals 1200. I'm going to just divide this or 1 to 2, 4, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, divided by 1200, because that's 1 to 1200 is the units I want. That gives me 2.1191667. Now, I'm going to gather all the layers that I need, make sure that I've got all of the layers on. I'm going to turn off the legends layer because I don't really need it. All of this is selected. I'm going to right click on it and hit transform, scale. I want it to be uniform, 211%, 0.916. That's close enough. I don't want to scale the corners. I want my line weights to remain the same. So I'm going to make sure that this is unchecked. And it's giving me a little bit of a hard time. So there's clearly something. Oh, when I zoom out, you see this little X here. I'm just going to highlight that with my direct selection tool and delete it. Now let's try this again. Let's go to 11 just to make it easy. And you see that really gave me what I needed. So pretty big, but I think that's great for what I need for this part of the project. Now, if I felt like that was too big, I could simply scale this a little bit differently. So let's say I want 1 inch equals 150 feet. So let's do 150 times 12. Should give me 1800. Yep. So instead of this, we could do that 2.5. Let's turn this back on. Gem layer. I'm gonna lock it just in case. 1 to 2.543. I want 1 to 1800. So 2.543 divided by 1800 equals 1.412778. So let's try this again. I'll do just direct selection of this. Right click on it, transform, scale. And I'm moving the decimal point, right? Because I'm in percentage here. So this is 141.277778. I'm gonna hit OK. So that's a great size.